Hi guys, I want to talk about cy.intecept within the context of GraphQL. So previously I went through Gleb's course for network testing exercises and he teaches cy.intecept in every possible way there. I recommend this thing 100%. But I didn't really have a chance to try it out in a larger application and see like why do we need all these capabilities in Cypress about cy.intecept. So I started Yan Chui's course for AppSync Masterclass. Previously, I shared the video about serverless framework and deploying Node.js lambdas and then creating this AppSync API which uses GraphQL. Now, he also goes through a front end portion of it. So that's a Twitter clone. So what we want to do in this Twitter clone is we want to log in with Cognito, and then we want to make sure that the information we're getting from the network just renders in the DOM. So here I created 4 tweets. I don't want to see all these in my stop version of the test. I just want to see 2. So to that extent, let's just take a look at the test. First, I think there's one interesting thing here about prog login. If you ever do have to deal with Cognito login, there's a recipe here. So programmatic login to Cognito is there. And later I'll have the UI working with side session. It's not there yet, but this is just a plain login there. And sometimes you might use the amplify component, and that one has a shadow DOM. It's in a previous version of the application that was there, so I just left that out, commented out, because that Cognito amplify authenticator is a hell to deal with. So in case anyone needs it in the future, there's a version there. Anyway, let's just run the test with a simple login, and then we're going to see what we get in the network. So it's getting some fonts here. Those we don't really care about. What we care about are these 2 GraphQL requests. So we'll see just 2 post requests going to the GraphQL API. Now, all the new features of Cypress Intercept, well, it's not very new. It's a few versions old, but now it's making sense to me. Like, how do we differentiate between the 2 so that, for instance, the first one is about the profile of this user, and then once the profile is achieved, we'll see some component display here. The second one is actually about the tweets that are on the timeline, and then if we look at the tweets, we'll see 4 tweets there coming in. So what we really want to intercept is just these 2, and we don't want to do anything with the profile, right? So how do we differentiate between those 2 things? So let's say we have normal Cypress intercept. Okay, and that's just going to intercept everything that, if we just don't use this callback, right? We don't want to use this callback right here. That's just going to intercept everything that's just going to that URL as a post request. Now, the interesting part is this. So let's just console log a request. I'm using Console Ninja, and what it does is instead of, we're going to see something here obviously in the console, right? We're going to see that. I also like to see it right here in my IDE. So we received 2 consoles. Okay, so so the first one we can see, let's look at this one, request, headers, hosts. Okay, we have the profile related thing here, I think. So what I want to look at is this query. Like, we should have 2 of these guys. Maybe it's a little difficult to look at here, but still. Is that query? What is it? So there's a query for get my profile. So we don't want to do anything with that one, right? And then there is a query for get my timeline. What we want is this one. So how do we differentiate? So we're getting all these requests, we're getting 2 of those. How do we differentiate between the 2? That's why we have the request callback here. Of course, there are a few different things you can do with it, like request reply, continue, request send. I'm not going to cover those in this video. I think I may have a cheat sheet on LinkedIn. You should definitely check out Gleb's course if you want to learn more. But the only way then becomes with this conditional, right? So if, actually, let's just do it this way. If request by the query includes get my timeline. So let's say there are 2 that we can look at, right? So let's just do console log request by. They're both queries, so there are no mutations here. Okay. Let's just do it this way. And then if the request by the query is about profile, we'll just log that out. And these will log out completely different things. So with this kind of a conditional, we're able to distinguish between the varying kinds of GraphQL requests. Let's just let it run. All right, sweet. So yeah, see, the first one will get the timeline, and that's the one we want. Actually, I think that's the second one. And the other one gets the profile. So we don't want to stub out the profile. We want to see this test user's profile in there. And for that one, we use the conditional. So we're going to use this conditional and this query, basically all this big string. If any part of this includes get my timeline, then we're going to alias it a different way. So here is, we're going to alias it. So that's going to be get my timeline query. We're not doing it here because, well, I'll show you that, why not. But and then instead of letting the normal, so we're going to stop the network request with rec reply. So it's going to grab the fixture that we have here with only 2 tweets. And when we run it, now we have stopped the network to see just those 2 tweets. Now here is 2 interesting things, I think, quirks, right? So this guy will say no alias. So this alias part, I think it's getting it from here. Right, so let's just alias this as GQL. Now, I don't really like that, actually. I mean, that's, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's just the way it works. But that part is going to be aliased as whatever you alias it, the whole intercept block. But what I really want to do is I just want to wait for the timeline query so that I can properly wait for it, like here. And then that needs to have, let's do it without the response and let's see what happens. So at the end, the UI should show 2. And then let's not even verify the response. Let's see if it works this way. So sweet. Okay, so without even having to make sure that what we waited for has a certain length of items, like here. So we don't need to do this. We are able to just wait for that alias that we defined here through the conditional. Just wait for that guy, and then our UI has settled. Let's just space these out like this. So we log in, we wait for something, and then we ensure that the UI is proper length. Yeah, so I think that was a good showcase of why do you need all these features of cy.intecept. Well, in the real world, I've only used it for feature flags, and now I've used it for GraphQL. It's great that you have all these capabilities because, yeah, this is very sophisticated. I recommend everyone to check out Console Ninja, the VS Code extension. So basically, if you have multiple console points, you can just log it to your IDE, and it works really nice with Cypress while debugging things. Other than that, I think the other highlight is programmatic login with Cognito. So if you need that kind of a thing, you can just check out this repository. It is called AppSync Masterclass Frontend. So it's a Vue application. First time I'm trying Vue, and it's using Tailwind and Amplify, also Cognito login. So maybe I should just add that there. But cool tech, and I do recommend Gleb's and Jan's courses for sure. And here's an example of cy.intecept with GraphQL. Enjoy.